So I was going on a trip to Baja, and I decided I really liked how the last couple videos on travel turned out, so I decided to make another one. After we landed in Phoenix, we decided to go to a restaurant called the Sicilian Butcher. It was very cool. It was entirely about meatballs. They had a freaking meatball Ferris wheel that the guy said actually moves, which is very entertaining. So we decided to go there and eat, which was epic because we got to eat outside in winter, which is not something we can do at home. This is what me and my friends are doing in December. Afterwards, we decided to go and get some rest, preparing for the following day where we would drive into Baja. The next day, we left Phoenix using the 101 and drove all the way down to Interstate 8 so that we could go across into Baja. We stayed in San Felipe in this really cheap but really cool hotel that had 2 awesome cats and was also enclosed, which was nice because it was super windy that day. Afterwards, we decided to leave our hotels and walk down to the beach to go take a look at the waterfront and also to get some food. The waterfront was really cool and had these big chairs and also the amazing giant sign for San Felipe. Afterwards, we got fish tacos and then called it a day. The next day, we started on our way to Ensenada. Okay, I don't know how well it was shown in those clips, but that drive was really beautiful. I mean, Highway 3 through the middle of Baja, it was a pretty nice drive. Eventually, we arrived in Ensenada, and I got to eat some caramel churros, which was really cool, and I also found some cool rocks in a rock shop, so after squeezing through tons of crowds because it was the day before the race, we got to a cool taco place and had some pulpo and carne asada tacos, which were super good. But then my dad got a fish taco, which looked like 5 times better, so that was cool. Afterwards, we decided to head to our campground by the beach, which had a really nice view of the ocean. The next day, I started off my day by drawing Rat at the beach, and then proceeded to go into Ensenada and watch some of the trophy trucks start, although it was quite underwhelming because they weren't actually starting because the canal was flooded. They were being escorted out of the city to start in the desert, so that is very sad. And then afterwards, we went to this cool restaurant, and some guys came in and started singing on their guitars, which is really cool. One of the people that came with us, Rick, said he could play the guitar, so they let him borrow their guitars, and we got to all play a song together, which was actually really cool. And then we went back to the cars and discovered that Rick's car had been broken into, and somebody smashed the window, so yeah, that's fun. As a result, in the morning when we woke up, we had to leave the car in Plaza del Mundo and take a different car into Ensenada for the day. The next morning, we went back to the restaurant we went to on the first day in Ensenada, and I got a fish taco this time because I was smart. I also got this really cool crab salad and octopus tostada. That was one of the best things I ate in my entire trip, and it was really, really good. We also noticed that they were selling our salsas, and since we thought they were really good, we bought some to bring home. There was also an evil pigeon trying to steal our food. If he tries to steal anything, I have him on film.
You can give the picture to the police. It looked like this. It was this one.
Afterwards, we went to hang out on the beach and watch the sunset, and we even got to see a couple dolphins. After dolphins, we went and watched the sunset as usual and hung out on the beach, and then the next morning, we headed off to go back into the U.S. Now, since Rick's car, as I mentioned before, had been broken into, we had to take his car to a Land Rover dealership to get the door fixed, which luckily was in stock that day. After Rick's car was dropped off and the other person traveling with us, Tony, left, Rick came with us to do what we would all do if we were in California and go to an In-N-Out. Now, In-N-Out Burger is awesome and everything, but there was one other thing that I wanted to do on this trip, which is go to a game store. So we found a small local game store in San Diego and decided to go. We also took a quick trip to Point Loma so that we could hang out and waste some time. It was really cool, and we got to hang out by the tide flats, and there was also a nice lighthouse and some cool views. The next morning after Rick's door was fixed, we decided to go to the zoo and look around, and it was actually really cool and interesting. We got to see a lion roar and a bunch of other cool cats and stuff. There were also polar bears and a bunch of other cool stuff, some birds, and it was really cool overall. Afterwards, we decided to head out on our way to go towards LA. On our first day in LA the next morning, we decided to meet up with my uncle and go and look around La Brea tar pits, which is pretty cool. We got to see a whole bunch of stuff in La Brea tar pits and walk around the park outside and look at some of the tar pits themselves. And then afterwards, we decided to go and get tacos at a place called Tacos Guisados. After that, we went to downtown Disney to look around, and then we decided to go get In-N-Out again, because why not? While we were in the Lego store, we found a really cool Atari 2600 Lego set. We also found the amazing product placement of Groot Gets Cracking Pistachios. There's also a montage I spent like 30 minutes on that I don't want to go to waste, so here you go. The next morning, we got up and went to Disneyland, or actually California Adventures, since there were only park hopper passes available. We spent the first half of the day in California Adventures walking around, and we got to ride the Incredicoaster, Soarin', and the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which were all super fun. We also went and tried the little Disney quiz what character are you thing they have in California Adventures, and it said I was Aladdin, which is really stupid. Afterwards, we decided to go into Disneyland because it's a better park, and we went and walked around Tom Sawyer Island for a while and just hung out. We got to ride Thunder Mountain and Space Mountain and all the cool rides, and we even passed Thunder Mountain right after it opened again after a breakdown. So we got to ride it twice while there was almost no line. It was literally only like a 2-minute wait each time. Even though the Rise of the Resistance ride was closed, the other new Star Wars ride was open, so we decided to ride it, and it was super fun. We got paired with a random family from Mexico City and got to teach them how stupid American coins are. It was super fun. The new Star Wars land was super well designed and fit the story really well, and the theming was perfect. There was also, Lenny, stop messing with the blinds. Also in our hotel, there was this statue of Mickey Mouse that was supposedly a ticket booth, but for some reason his face looked like super freaking creepy. And then I started noticing that every single face of Mickey Mouse looks super creepy because his nose becomes like part of his eye. And it's like mildly terrifying. Either way, we went back to our hotel and prepared for our giant drive tomorrow to go all the way to Medford. Yeah, so the truck is definitely not supposed to make that noise. So apparently when we were around Fresno on our drive back, the transmission started dying and only fourth gear really worked. And later we stopped for fuel in Arbuckle because we had to, and the gearbox just died. So we drove 180 miles to Medford with like half a transmission. And apparently we were also running on 3 cylinders because we discovered in Medford that we popped a fuel line somewhere. Yeah, so we went to our hotel in Medford, ate Mexican Fritos and beans for dinner. Our original plan was going to be to drive from Medford as far north as we could make it until the car literally just stopped working. We were originally planning on trying to see if we could make it to Grants Pass or maybe even Eugene. But we woke up in the morning and discovered that we'd popped the fuel line, and we just decided that would be stupid, and we'd leak diesel everywhere, which is really bad. So instead, we decided to just drive to the In-N-Out nearby in Medford and wait for Tony and Rick, who were traveling with us earlier, to come back and pick us up. So we got a tow back home, and we arrived like super late, but not before having another In-N-Out in Salem, because why wouldn't you? All in all, it was a really good trip, and almost nothing went wrong. It was super fun, and we got to hang out and eat a lot of good food and walk around and just explore. It was super cool, and yay. Hey, that was a really difficult video to make and took me like literally a month to do, so that was pretty cool. I'm glad I finished editing it. I think it turned out as a pretty decent video, so that's nice. It's probably one of the longest videos I've ever made too, so I want to know if you like these like travel idea videos. Yeah, gaming.